on chain to the next level. And that's something we can definitely get amongst. So we knew that we needed to kind of keep pushing forward at Foundation, figure out how we can actually, unlock this for our community. So partnering with Manifold and kind of, working with the creators that they were working to kind of onboard into contracts, just seemed like the perfect like starting point to kind of just like kick off this kind of work stream. And yeah, we released collections yesterday and have fuck render
No
officially
way.
now like in on Foundation with fuck
It's already.
crystals. And yeah, this is really just a beginning of allowing creators to kind of experiment with their own custom smart contracts that they own and control and can brand and use within their creative practice.
That is insane.
Beautifully said. I want to just say hello to Richard, who's also joined us on stage from the Manifold team. Hi, Richard. Thank you so much.
Hi, guys. Good to be here. Just thought I'd join you guys.
Yeah, happy to have you. So we just had Matthew, our head of design, start speaking a little bit about the partnership, the design integration that we've done over the last six or 7 weeks to sort of bring collections to light on Foundation. Eric and Richard, from the Manifold side, I'd love to hear you just talk a little bit about what this really means. What does it mean to have a collector or to have a creator have their own custom smart contract? What possibilities does that unlock? Why is that so important?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. So, one of the big things is that we see is that the smart contract kind of represents an artist's workshop, right? It's their toolkit, it's their source of provenance, of authenticity, right? And it really allows them to do things that they couldn't do before on typical like shared contracts, right? So like most people think of a smart contract, or most people think of NFTs as just being tokenized artwork and tokenized images and videos. But the reality is that the smart contract can actually be part of the artwork itself, right? It's a new medium of expression. And then when you consider the smart contract as part of the artwork, you can just do so much more, right? Like for example, one of the projects we worked on was the Mad Dog Jones replicator. And that was a smart contract that really showed that the contract could work in tandem with artwork, right? So, the replicator is a picture of a photocopier, right? And the owner of the token is actually rewarded with more tokens as they hold things. There's a probabilistic model for creating new like NFTs from that contract. And on top of that too, the contract actually does represent the artwork very well because, there's functions in there that's like, it's called like print, which is, represent photocopier. There's like a jam function in there, or like jam functionality in there, which is like, which is exactly what the photocopier does as part of the artwork. Right. And, really you can create really interesting mechanics beyond just, an image in a video. Right. And to me, that's the power of, a smart contract.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Richard. So yeah, that's really well said. And I'm curious, like if Fuckrender or Eric or Matt wants to kind of chime in on this side. There's another element I've noticed, at least with deploying custom smart contracts, which is sort of the emotional side of things.
We're vibing on Twitter Spaces with the Withfnd gang.
I think
come check it out, guys. This is amazing. They are just adding collections and smart contracts into Foundation.
How do you guys see the relationship of like creator to smart
contract? Let's get to it. I mean, this is insane. Fuckrender is here.
We'd love to hear your take because we
are vibing.
A lot of the
it's so interesting. Come join the space right now if you don't want to miss on this one. Oh my God.
Yeah, I can definitely dive in here because I think our strategy is slightly different to Manifold, and I'm just interested in seeing how this place, seeing how this space is really going to play out. I think it's like we're really just like day one for this space, and I think there's lots of different strategies that can kind of emerge over time. And I think like our design approach at Foundation has always been to essentially build a social network that is powered by Web3. That's kind of like the rough kind of like high level abstract view of what we're building. And I think the way that I kind of always think about this is that, if you kind of unpack and unravel traditional like Web2 style social networks, there's a lot of key kind of surfaces that are involved. There's posts, there's users, There's interactions like likes and comments. There's functionality like tagging and things like that. And essentially what we've aimed to do is really just replicate all of these common known kind of lived experiences that people have by using, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Tumblr and Snapchat and MySpace over the last 10 years, and really try to, capture some of that excitement, but do it in a really, really Web3 native way. So if you really look at Foundation, we have, profiles on Foundation, but every profile is really backed by an on-chain wallet. And then on people's profiles on Foundation, they have artwork, they have posts, but every single post is an NFT that lives on chain. And then, if you dive into NFTs, people have been collaborating on different NFTs and tagging their friends in NFTs and things like that. But instead of having a tag, we have on-chain splits that actually allow creators to kind of collaborate on chain. So we're always looking for ways to kind of do everything in this Web3 kind of native approach, but really abstract it up into this really, really beautiful, gorgeous kind of UI and, UX that people kind of familiarize themselves with. So when we knew that we kind of wanted to dive into collections, we were getting a lot of feedback about creators wanting to kind of experiment with collections and series of work and bodies of work. We were looking for that Web3 kind of mechanic that allowed us to kind of dive into this. I had some designs for building out collections, and it just didn't feel right for it to be Web2. It didn't feel right for the collection to be, just a container that was contained on a, centralized server that we would run as a team. I was always just looking for, the Web3 kind of version of that, and I believe that is a smart contract.
On
so, every, the mental model that we've built is that every collection on Foundation is a smart contract.
That's interesting.
And that gives it that.
I just want to just hop in here because I thought that's interesting in that I like the idea that you mentioned of like a Web3 social network, and to quote like the great Naval, who mentioned maybe 7 or 8 years ago, Naval once said that he thinks within the next 10 years, every single asynchronous social network will become decentralized. And I think we're seeing that happen in real time right now. The question to me has always been, well, what does a decentralized social network actually look like? And, as you alluded to, there's things like identity, there's things like posts, there are things like engagement mechanics like liking and commenting on posts. The question is like, which part of that stack gets decentralized? Are you decentralizing just the engagement, like the transactions? Are you decentralizing the content, like the posts? Or are you decentralizing everything all the way up to identity? So from our point of view at Manifold, that's a question we constantly ask, because I do truly believe that the age of decentralized social networks are coming. And obviously Foundation has proved that to a large degree that is something that people want. And you guys have done a beautiful job of doing that to top it off. I think collections is a really cool introduction to the idea of decentralizing content ownership, right? Because with creator deployed contracts now, you have decentralized identity and decentralized content. And so I just keep thinking about how much further down the stack do we ultimately decentralize things?
Yeah, that's definitely stuff that we're always thinking about every single day here as well. And I think the way that we kind of always approach things is to just take each day as it is, and kind of just really carry out this like kind of like diligent process where we're like always trying to push on our preconceived like ideas and notions, but ultimately kind of just always just design for where people are now and where the space is, and then kind of take them down forward into a journey. So I think it will just be an emergent kind of transition, and it'll emerge like over many different years. And I think like we've naturally started with decentralizing content through NFTs, and now we're starting to rise up through all the various levels of decentralizing different kind of areas of our stack and our experience.
I'm curious how Kit, how you felt after deploying your own smart contract as well, because I remember we did that, and that was really fun.
Yeah, Eric, thank you. That's a good question. I don't normally get to answer many questions as the host, but I will say that I was really blessed with the opportunity to, throughout this process, I was able to work with Manifold and deploy my own custom smart contract for my own drop. And it really gave us a lot of insight into the collections process, or the road that we were about to go down with some of our creators. For me, I think one point that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, but it is worth sharing, is just the emotional weight of deploying your own contract. That feeling is so I've been in NFTs for a year. That experience of deploying a contract was the most complex thing I've ever done on the blockchain, and it was also hands down the most rewarding and emotional. I'd love to hear, from Matt and Eric and Richard, sort of your thoughts on this, but in particular, there's something about the ASCII art, which I think maybe from certain perspectives feels like a small detail. There's something about that showing up on Etherscan, which is, in many ways the skeleton of Web3, the skeleton of this world that we're in right now.
Where?
It's the very core of it.
So
to see my contract deployed on Etherscan with the verified green check mark next to it, to pop it open and see my ASCII art, there was such this, like, it had this simultaneous feeling of like Wild West, which I think is kind of rings true to a lot of what's happening in the NFT space right now. There's so much unprecedented experience to have here. But it also had this like incredible feeling of permanence, of like, wow, I've really made my mark here. And it was a process to get there. But there's something about the ASCII art. It might be its like long history in computing. It might be that it's showing up on Etherscan. I'm curious what your guys' kind of read on it is, but something about that is very special and emotional, in my opinion.
I think what you're describing is like, and what we as creators, coders, and artists have experienced as well, is it's like adding some humanity to the code, right? Because the majority of smart contracts you see on chain right now, it's purely just logic.
Yeah.
But as Richard alluded to earlier, at Manifold, we really do
This is
think
like the
that the smart contract
foundation.
itself is in itself a form of expression
Oh my
for
God,
the
I didn't
artist.
share the live.
So having the ability to customize your own smart contract, which we enabled with Manifold smart contracts, we call it the creator contract. Just like, adds a human touch to what has always been, for the longest time, just like the domain of programmers and just like logic-based programs. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, I love the ASCII art. I think one moment that's really familiar with me is that when we were open sourcing and verifying the original Foundation NFT contract, the Foundation team was, moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute. We were shipping things every single day. There was a whole lot of work to do. And I really pushed for like having ASCII art in the contract. I think it was like something that, someone could have like said, oh, that's optional. Let's just throw it out. Let's not do it. We need to ship this. We need to get it out the door and move on to other things. But like, I was like, no, like we need ASCII art in the contract. So we created this like gorgeous like ASCII version of our, our triangle, our circle, and our square, and added it to the top of our NFT contract. And the metaphor that I used when I was kind of like speaking about this is one of my favorite kind of just like stories of like tech history, is that on the original Macintosh team at Apple back in, like the 80s, like when they're working on the original like Macintosh, there was just a really tight-knit team of designers and engineers working at Apple Computer and working on the Macintosh project. And as soon as they finished like the final kind of like version and it was getting ready to ship, Steve Jobs kind of like left the room and went out and got a Sharpie marker and came back into the room and then handed it to like everyone that was working on the Macintosh team. And he got them to sign their signature on the inside of the plastic case of the computer. And the reason why he did that is he said, like what we've done here is art. We've built the Macintosh. That's a piece of artwork. And real artists always sign their artwork. And then what they did is they took all those signatures, and when every Macintosh actually shipped, it actually inside the case, it had the signature of everyone that kind of worked on it. And I always just loved that little detail because it just showed how Apple were just willing to go above and beyond. And even on the inside of their computers, they were thinking of the details and the tiny little like Easter eggs and quirks that really just like, allowed them to kind of build their brand. And I think allowing creators to customize the contracts that are literally running and controlling and maintaining their like artwork, I think is, just something really, really powerful about that. And I think, yeah, allowing creators to kind of just dive into, the closest, deepest, like bare metal parts of the stack, I think is always interesting.
I love that. I love the story of Apple, and that resonates deeply. Super cool and great anecdote.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I literally got goosebumps thinking about that, because I think, and I'm curious if you guys find parallels too. If you look at the history of like early microcomputing, so much of those moments were about not knowing what was coming next, but trying to capture this like Wild West feeling of like just untapped possibility. And I think similar to that moment with Macintosh, that very first moment of pre-shipping where everyone's signing the inside of the computer, I think that there's a parallel here to what a lot of artists are experiencing for the first time, of like true agency and true ownership over what they're creating, why they're creating, and how they're creating. And to me, I see lots of parallels with this moment and the very first microcomputing revolution. It feels like there's just this like endless untapped possibility.
Well, like Chris Dixon has said many times that like, Web3 reminds him a lot of Web1 in the sense that we're inventing new primitives again, right? And we have a new building block for publishing and for creating. I also resonate with that. I've been coding and building things since early 2000s, and it's like for any Web3 developer, it really feels like we've just rediscovered how to write web content for the first time. It's like for the first time we learned how to write HTML. With Web3, with having your own creator contract, it feels exactly the same, except we all know that with hindsight, when we first built web pages in like the early 2000s or late 1990s, with hindsight, we know that you can do a lot more than just build simple flat HTML websites. In the same way with Web3, given that hindsight, we know that the future of NFTs is much more than just, for example, minting a JPEG. There's a much more vibrant future with NFTs because it's a programmable canvas. And, history has shown that with a programmable canvas, you really can do really, really awesome things. And we've really just gotten started with understanding what we can do. Folks like Fuckrender, Mad Dog Jones, Pack, these are all our collaborators and partners. And we worked with them because they are artists who are really pushing the envelope here of what we can actually build on this medium. And so hopefully with their Artist Foundation, to these really cool forward-thinking folks as examples. And if artists on Foundation also deploy their own smart contracts, they too can experiment with this medium. Again, it's really, really early. What you can build with NFTs, especially if you own your own smart contract, is quite limitless. And so again, when we were still building web pages, like for example, like GeoCity home pages back in like the 90s and 2000s, we're gonna look back today and think that we're just getting started in the same way, I think.
Really well said, and I completely agree. I think that sort of leads to a question that I have about Web3. We know that the space is very much forming in real time and is still being figured out. Talk to me a little bit, maybe Matt, you can speak to this best, but I'm curious for everyone's take. What about, like, how does Foundation handle collections in a way that's different from other platforms right now, from other spaces right now? What are we doing differently?
Holy shit.
Yeah, I think the main kind of difference is really just like leaning into Web3 first. A lot of other platforms and marketplaces are often maybe kind of taking, skirting, across and taking cutting quarters and kind of just taking shortcuts in the way that they're kind of like building out their infrastructure. And what we're always trying to do is just take a more long-term kind of focused, sustained approach where, some of the product kind of decisions that we make might be, on the kind of like short term, they might be a little bit painful, mainly because of gas costs and things like that, and because you might have to kind of learn how to use the blockchain in like a new interesting way that you haven't done before. So it might kind of like curb accessibility a bit, but it's like we're always trying to like orientate our community down towards the approach that we believe to be the best kind of orientation. And that was why when we worked on collections, we really, really just like advocated for them being smart contracts and them being Web3 kind of native. And I think that's really great because whenever a creator is set up with their own custom smart contract, that's kind of like an asset that they control and they own and they manage, and they're the admin of their contract, and they're free to continue moving that around to different platforms, different experiences. It's not locked within the kind of like, centralized ecosystem of any one platform. So we're always looking for ways to kind of just give power and give more ownership and more control to our community over time.
Beautifully said. I want to be conscious of everyone's time. We usually run WGMI for about 45 minutes. So I have one last question I'd like to ask, but because the lineup on stage is so incredible, I'm going to ask it a little early because I think I'm really excited to hear the answers here, and I'd love to hear from everyone. So we have about 200, almost 300 people listening in right now from all across, the NFT ecosystem in all different positions: collectors, creators, people who are just getting into it, degens who've been trading for a long time, DeFi boys, the whole spectrum. My question to this incredible panel is, what advice do you have to somebody who is looking at this space and wants to get more involved, wants to become a builder, wants to learn how to deploy their own contracts or make a collection? What advice do you have to people who want to get involved?
I'd say the biggest thing is just like jump right in, right? Everyone starts somewhere. Like, there was a point where I didn't even have my first NFT, and all of a sudden I had an NFT, and then I had more, and then started getting to more of a builder phase, right? And just like, making connections. The community is really friendly, so really just try to find your tribe that, you can learn and grow with, right? And, I think that's been very instrumental for me. It's just being around people in the community who are really helpful and really just like pushing me to like, think about how I do things in the space, right? And then from a learning perspective, there literally is no end to learning in the NFT space, right? I'm learning new things every single day just because things are going so fast, right? But everyone's friendly and everyone's willing to help out. So
yeah, I'm definitely in the same camp as well. Like, I think the only thing you really can do at this moment is just dive right in. Like this space, this industry is so new. There is no university degree or course that you can do to, understand Web3 and learn
My
Web3.
course
You kind of just have to dive into the
is gonna be the
space,
first.
talk to people in the community, talk to people who are making things, and just try to learn as much as possible. Like, I launched a project in, I think, early 2018, where I deployed my own contract and my own token. And I had no idea how to do that. And all I did was I literally went to YouTube and searched how to deploy a ERC20 token. And I watched a 15-minute YouTube video from some kid in Russia that was screen recording on a cheap laptop. And he told me how to like deploy a contract to Ethereum. And I did that, and I just dived right in. And that was like just learning by diving in and doing things. And just, I think you always just need to be doing things like that, and just learning from other people and just experimenting and be willing to kind of make mistakes in your work and your craft.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't agree with that more. I would also say to the people listening, like, that this space, it's important to remember that this space is built by the people within it, and that this opportunity that we have right now is one where we have a chance to build the art world or to build the tech world or the combination of the two that we really want to see. We have opportunity to democratize access to all artists to kind of trailblaze and create this space the way that they want it to. And I would be remiss if I didn't also use this opportunity to plug the fact that Foundation is hiring. We have like 13 open spots right now, and we're hiring in all different types of positions. So if you find yourself called to be a builder, absolutely please check out our careers page. I know Manifold's also hiring. We're all growing very quickly in this incredible moment in time. So if that feels like a calling to you, please check that out. Beyond that, we have like about a couple minutes left, and I just want to be conscious of everyone's time. Anything anyone else wants to share before I wrap up? Any like closing thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
Well, I'd be remiss to not mention that you know, Manifold Studio, which is the product kit that you use to deploy your smart contract, and the product that the other Foundation artists deployed their smart contract with, has we're now in public beta, and so the link is on our Twitter. Manifold Studio is used to deploy your own smart contracts and mint your own NFTs, and it's something we've been working on for a long time, and very, very excited to share that with the community.
Wow. Huge announcement. That is amazing. You heard it here first, folks. Well, in light of all of that, and with this 40 minutes kind of wrapping up, I do just want to say, if you're listening right now and you feel excited about collections, keep an eye on Foundation's page. We have some really big ones coming out in the next week or two, and we're really, really excited to start bringing more artists in to collect, or to create collections with us, rather. Check out our Typeform, which is on our Twitter right now. If you have a collection you're excited about making, here's a chance to send your idea to us, and maybe we can make it happen. Beyond that, I just want to thank everyone again one last time for joining us. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Fuckrender. Thank you so much for both helping us usher in this new era of Foundation, but also just for spending some time with us today to talk through smart contracts. It means so much.
Thanks for organizing, Kit, and congratulations on the launch of collections. This is super awesome to see.
As we say in the space, we're just getting started, and I'm really excited to see what's next. Tune in next time. I'm here every week on Thursdays or Fridays. This is WGMI. I'm Kit, Foundation's Director of Collector Relations, and I'll be back next week with someone else really inspiring. Thank you guys so much, and take care.
Oh, thanks,
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh my God, that's it. Is that it? Where's the form? Where is the form? No! No! Oh my God. I tried, guys. I tried to keep up. Oh my God, my mic is totally broken. What's going on? I hate when that happens. That blows. That freaking blows. It's kind of crackling, right? I'm trying to. Yeah, it's kind of crackling. Let me fix it. I might go live later. But that was it. I want to find where the hell is this kind of Foundation submission. Nobody gave a shit, honestly. But well, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's kind of sad to have such a narrow audience. Like, I would love to have 2,000 views, or at least the ones that follow me to reach these people. I mean, I would really love it. Might go live later. Right now, I'm out. Let's see if I can fix the mic. I hope. Let me see. But yeah, I will fix it up. Yeah, it's like there is something that clicked on my head that is so convenient. Like there is no a university degree to learn this NFT stuff, because it happens so fast that if you blink, you miss it. And you will learn it when everybody will be already made it, right? When everybody already made it, you will be going into a university and they will be showing you a not so good version of that, like they didn't make it, or maybe yes, but it's too late, right? I want to do it right when I'm learning it. I'll put a tutorial out. So that's why I want to make my own NFT utility token. That's a must. And you will have access to a private Discord. I'm kind of shilling this because I know very few people will see this video. So I'm just giving you, if you're watching, the sneak peek. I've been telling people like, yeah, I want to make my own academy and stuff. Well, the pass will be a NFT that I'm going to be creating tonight. So what we doing? Reading it right now? Reading it later? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, what's kind of cool that Matthew liked my thing. This guy is the co-founder and head of design at Foundation. So it's totally mind-blowing. This guy even follows me in Foundation. Look at that. Fog Render and Mainfold. This is crazy cool. This is crazy cool. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Come on. I just needed to fucking retweet that. But yeah, I did it my way. And that's that. So. Let's go. Yeah, this stream was that. I will make another one later, just in case. So, quick one. Awesome. Awesomeness. Feeling good. Okay, I'm recording all that. Fuck. Okay. So let me see if I can fix the mic. Actually, it's not so bad right now. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, let me fix it. And now we'll create another stream. Let's see what's up. Let's see if I can create today this utility token NFT for my own academy. So as I learn it, I tell it to you guys as ASAP, you know, so you can know and get busy and make it. Like me, love you. Love is out to tune shit.